in the year 2024, Ghana's inequality was worse than Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, and other neighboring countries, unfortunately. I'll now take you to long-term trends and the urgent need for us to reset. Your Excellency, the current growth model will not be sufficient to meet Ghana's needs and aspirations if nothing is done. And it will mean that we have to take urgent steps to correct this trend. Ghana needs to take advantage of its demographic dividend. With 500,000 young people joining the labor force each year, 500,000. Within the current growth model, growth will reduce to only 3.8%, which represents 2.4% GDP per capita in less than 15 years from now. There's an urgent need to implement ambitious reforms to reset the economy in the next 4 years. Otherwise, we'll go down in terms of growth. Transforming Ghana's economic growth from one based on factor accumulation and natural resource depletion to one driven by productivity and human capital is very critical. Economic growth can be sustained over 6.5% of GDP, fully offsetting headwinds from demographic trends and the decline in natural resource depletion if we are to adjust from the current baseline situation. Your Excellency, the graph on the left-hand side shows the baseline situation from now to the year 2050, using the baseline and where the growth will be. We've adjusted for moderate reforms, and we have also adjusted for ambitious reforms. The moderate reforms will largely mean that we will have to quickly bring on stream the Pecan field, and that will adjust from where we are and improve the growth trend. Whereas ambitious reforms will mean we'll have to do a lot more than adjusting from the Pecan oil fields. Without comprehensive reforms, unfortunately, Ghana will only achieve upper middle income status after the year 2050. And we cannot wait till the year 2050 before we become an upper middle income country. There's an urgent need for comprehensive policies and institutional reforms that enhance productivity, improve the quality of infrastructures, services, and elevate human capital and workforce skills. These reforms have the potential of transforming Ghana within a generation, tripling its per capita income by the year 2050. There is the need to reorient fiscal policy to support the growth and structural transformation. Your Excellency, again, the graph at the left-hand side shows the baseline and the moderate reforms and ambitious reforms. Unfortunately, looking at where we are going, if nothing is done, Ghana will only become an upper middle income country in the year 2050. With moderate reforms, we'll be able to become an upper middle income country in the year 2042. But if we are to do well and introduce very ambitious reforms, Ghana will indeed become an upper middle income country before the year 2038. And we have no choice. We will have to introduce measures to reset our economy. There's an urgent need for economic transformation to reset Ghana. And we have 7 chapters to reset our economy. Chapter 1 is resetting the economy and creating prosperity for all. Chapter 2 is jobs for all. Chapter 3 is Ghana's framework for industrial revitalization, support and transformation. We call it the Ghana First. The 4th one will be powering growth through infrastructure development. 5, investing in people for inclusive growth. 6, restoring good governance and combating corruption. And 7, deepening international relations and foreign policy so that Ghana can benefit from economic diplomacy. Your Excellency, we face fiscal challenges, and indeed there are opportunities to support this reset. First, I will take you through public expenditure, otherwise called public spending. The fiscal space, as we speak, is constrained by high interest rates, high energy subsidies, and mounting rigidities. Government expenditure grew faster than GDP over the past 8 years. Non-discretionary spending severely limited the fiscal space due to high wage bill, high energy subsidy, ballooning interest payment, spending indiscipline, and weak expenditure controls, including commitment. These categories of non-discretionary expenditures, namely public sector wages, interest payment, earmark funds, account for about 70% of Ghana's total expenditure. All these expenses crowd out expenditure for capital purposes, capital expenditure. Social spending has been very low and is often misused. The National Health Insurance Scheme faces financing shortfalls and also misuse of resources. So the problem with National Health Insurance is not only with the financing shortfalls, but also with misuse of resources. Financing shortfalls for National Health Insurance. The National Health Insurance no longer receives its full National Health Insurance levy as approved by law due to the Capping Act. Additionally, resources increasingly diverted towards non-core activities, and this hinders efficiency. Today, less than 60% of the National Health Insurance budget goes to non-claim payment. And you could see that in the year 2008, from the graph, we used to use 86% of the National Health Insurance budget for the purposes of claim payment. This has reduced to about 58%. In fact, in the year 2022, it went down to about 50%. Public spending also on education is inefficient and skewed towards secondary and tertiary levels. Only about 1/4 of government education spending goes to pre-primary and primary levels. Most funds go to staff compensation, leaving little for classroom materials and infrastructure improvement. And you could see how our education budget is skewed, also from the graph from the right-hand side. Your Excellency, infrastructure spending, again, is highly inefficient and mostly uncompleted. Even a small improvement in spending efficiency could lead to significant progress in infrastructure quality. For example, an increase in efficiency to match best performing emerging markets would deliver about 20% improvement in the quality of Ghana's road. Spreading resources on too many projects without completion has become the problem of Ghana. For example, Agenda 111, where $400 million have been spent in the last 4 years without a single hospital in operation, with about $1.5 billion needed for completion. The amount spent of $400 million could have completed a minimum of 22 district hospitals instead of spreading yourself too thin. Maintenance is indeed cheaper than new infrastructure, but funds to road maintenance is also inadequate and often misused. Another example is only 41% of our primary roads were in good shape in the year 2021. Funds for road maintenance cover only 45% of maintenance needs. And this 45% of funds that has been allocated for road maintenance are often used for development instead of maintenance. And so you could see that most of our roads are deteriorating. Your Excellency, the energy sector in Ghana has become a ticking time bomb, costing about 2% of GDP every year. Every year. The objectives of the energy sector recovery program are completely off track. Fixing the sectors require radical measures. High generational costs due to lack of competition and limited renewable capacity in the energy mix is a problem. high distribution and collection losses at ECG. High distribution and collection losses at ECG is also a problem. Currently, only 62% of total energy purchased by ECG is collected. And even out of this 62%, 65% of that amount is used to pay for supplies through the cash water fall mechanism. Unfortunately, 35% of ECG's revenue is used to take care of ECG themselves over things that they don't actually require. Non-cost reflective tariffs, about 50% of cost of service provision is a matter for us to discuss. However, I still maintain that tariffs should not be used to reward ECG's inefficiencies and other inefficiencies in the system. Unpaid legacy arrests at end of year 2022 was $1.3 billion US. Annual cumulative sector shortfall in 2024 stood at $2.2 billion US, despite government transfer of $2.1 billion US in the year 2023 and 2024. Projected cumulative financial shortfalls for energy sector is over $9 billion US by the year 2026. And this is without any intervention, and if we assume business as usual. This simply means we have to take action, and the action must be now. Your Excellency, the cocoa sector also poses a significant fiscal risk. Declining cocoa production with record high prices. Cocoa production has dropped nearly 50% over the past 3 years. The 2023-2024 crop season, Cocoa Board would not be able to supply was not able to supply 330,000 tons of cocoa contracts. Existing forward sales contracts locked in lower prices than current market rates. Revenue losses of $840 million for both Cocoa Board and the Ghanaian farmer as a result of what is happening at Ghana Cocoa Board. Additionally, about $500 million losses for rollover contract was achieved in the last year. The market prices and differentials is what aids smuggling. Large gap between market price and farmers' payment encouraged smuggling and threatened long-term sustainability. This implies that for every ton of cocoa delivered this year, in fulfillment of the rollover contract, Ghana Cocoa Board and the Ghanaian farmer would lose $4,000 per ton in revenue. No wonder we are unable to offer the cocoa farmer the right price, because every ton delivered because of the rollover contract, $4,000 has been lost. And so the government is unable to offer enough for the cocoa farmer. And this is what is actually leading to the smuggling of cocoa beans to our neighboring countries, Togo and Ivory Coast. Cocoa Board's extra budgetary spending is also a major fiscal risk. Total debt at the Ghana Cocoa Board is $32.5 billion, of which $9.7 billion is due to be paid at the end of September 2025, this year. Outstanding cocoa road contract reached $21 billion, in fact, $1.3 billion in the year 2024, of which only $4.4 billion accounted for in Cocoa Board financial statement. Supplier arrests is difficult to quantify because of lack of transparency, and it has become a major concern to industries. Excellency, the elephant in the room. SOEs and joint ventures company showing mounting operational and financial risk. Almost all state-owned enterprises are in the red. Almost all of them are in the red. From the Electricity Company of Ghana to the Agricultural Development Bank. Almost all of them are in the red. In fact, beginning from the year 2021, 2022, and 2023, you will see that Cocoa Board posed some profit of $2.2 billion in the year 2023. But Your Excellency, This is artificial profit. This profit is because they failed to service their debt because of the debt suspension. And so all the cocoa bills that were due at the time, they failed to